Hey everyone, so we're back with another viewer question, and this one is from Shawn G from Chicago. Go Cubbies! So he had reached out and was excited that I love Chicago as well. So here's some questions from Shawn. I once attended a visitation of a former neighbor's son who was in the military who killed in a helicopter crash. The evening of the viewing, the casket was open, but only a uniform was visible with no body. Could have what remained of his body be tucked under the fabric of the casket? I am going to assume, because in this situation, like, I really don't truly know because I wasn't there. What was left of him was, I would have thought, cremated, or the small pieces, if anything was recovered, yes, might have been in a box in the foot of the casket or something of that effect. I love that they laid out his uniform and had this symbolic representation of him. There might not have been any parts of him able to be recovered if he was fully burned or exploded or something of that nature. So I love that there was symbolism. Just like in 9/11, there was a lot of empty caskets, empty urns, things like that, but people went through the steps of having the funeral, having the memorial service, doing a burial, doing something to commemorate and to symbolize that person and who they were to the family. Cremating a heavy corpse, such the likes of famous wrestler Andre the Giant, at 7 feet 550 pounds for instance or heavier, how long would it take in the retort? So a person over a certain weight, usually over like 350, 100 pound, 350 pounds, typically needs to be done in a cold retort, so first thing in the morning, and has to be monitored. I've talked about this before, but essentially the adipose, or the fat on a body, acts as almost like a grease fire would. So as soon as that fat catches on fire, the machine needs to be shut off, because that fire that is created from the fat burns the body down. And so someone has to monitor the process the whole time, because then once that fire starts burning down, the machine is turned back on to reignite the heat. And so then the heat gets up again, and then the body, typically, the fat catches on fire again and then burns down. So essentially the body is burning itself down through the fat that is on that body. So the larger the body, the more dangerous this actually is. Crematories have burned down from these fires because if there is enough liquid that is created from that fat, it can run out of the machine, and it can run out onto the floor, and it can run, out onto other things and catch the building on fire or catch the machine on fire, etc. So it is quite a dangerous process, and it does take a lot longer because it has to be monitored by someone, and because you have to do this on, off of the machine to control the burn for that cremation. So there's no set time, but several hours, sometimes many hours, depending how large the person is. If you've ever been to or seen Forest Lawn Cemeteries in California, you will notice sarcophagi with 3 or more names placed on the front panel. What is the body arrangement for those in burial? Well, it depends. I don't know what part of the cemetery and what type of so a sarcophagi, I don't know if you're talking about a crypt, like in a mausoleum. I'll probably need a little more explanation on that question, but you can do different body configurations where the bodies are 1, 2, 3, or they're lined head to toe in, or all next to each other. So there's a lot of different configurations that a crypt can be in. So I'll just need a little more information about that question. In 1978, my grandmother died. The funeral home had organ music playing in the background during visitation. They call that dirge music a lot. It's it's very slow, very funeral-esque. A funeral director approached this stereo box to control the volume. Was this, like in the early days, called the organ machine? I don't know the technical term for it, but yes, there's something that controls an organ. An organ is, not a lot of people know how to play organs. You gotta warm them up, and then you gotta start playing, and then you get the music going. There's a lot more to it than a piano, per se. So organs are quite intrinsic. Every funeral home, I feel like, used to have an organ. It was quite the staple that there was organ music playing before and after the funeral, you know, back before you had sound systems in the funeral home. And so you would have that organ music, whether it was religious or not religious. You always had your old lady, little old lady, that cute lady that would play the music, and sometimes it was the same person that answered the phone, and it was just a member of the staff. But a lot of funeral homes have gotten rid of organs, and new funeral homes that are built typically don't have organ setups in them. Keyboards are becoming more popular because they're mobile, because you can set them up, take them down, take them with you to other venues if needed. So once in a while they're still requested, but my father died in 2015 and we buried him in a non-gasket casket. His vault was sealed. What rate of decomp should he be in? There is no way for me to specifically know. Two bodies buried in the exact same setups are going to decompose differently. So unfortunately there's no way for me to know, and this is one of the main questions people ask me because they want to know, you know, what's going on with my loved one below the ground. Are they a skeleton? Are they soupy? Are they moldy? Like, do they look perfect? And there's no way for me to know that answer. Have you ever handled Jewish funerals? Very, very few. So we have a small Jewish cemetery in one of the towns that I work in. And so once in a while we do get Jewish services. And to me they seem very similar to Muslim, and where things are done pretty quickly, things are done very naturally. Wooden caskets, no metal screws or nails used in it. The body's bathed and then, you know, placed in the casket and buried, and typically within a certain period of time. So there's a lot of tradition to a death within the religion, and I really like that about it. Whereas in a lot of other areas of our society, we've gotten away from any kind of formality of death, where we don't even stop and acknowledge some deaths that occur, like do a direct cremation and we're not going to do anything. Where I love that certain religions are very formal in what they do for a deceased, and to commemorate that life and to go through these certain steps to know that we're stopping, we're celebrating, we are praying for them, we are bathing them, we're caring for them, we're going to take them to their final place of rest, and we're going to go through all these steps for that person. So I really like that about it. How would you describe the smell of a dead human corpse, like a dead animal on the road for days on a hot summer day? Well, a dead animal typically is going to be in the outdoors, so a lot of that smell is dispersed out, whereas when we're smelling humans who have died, it's typically in an enclosed area. So that alone is very different because it's a contained, much stronger smell. I did have someone recently tell me that they have experienced both, and it is a hard thing to explain, that smell. It's strong, it's overwhelming, it gags you without it being, it doesn't matter if you're looking at something that's disgusting or not, it just kind of hits your senses in a certain place in your throat that just kind of gags you, whether you are reacting to the visual of the death or not. And it sticks on you. It's got a lot of fat in that smell, and so that's why it clings to you. It sticks in your nose, it sticks on your clothing, it's in your hair, it's just all over you, so it's hard to get rid of that smell. Have you ever had to cremate a body in a metal casket? If so, what happens to the metal waste? Typically we try and shy away from a metal casket, or if the person wants to be viewed in metal, then we take them out of the metal, recycle that casket, meaning like literally at a recycling place, and place them in a cardboard box to go for the cremation itself. Metal and heat, it just doesn't mix and it won't burn down, and so it warps it, contorts it, can make a mess of the retort. It's just, it's hard to cremate someone inside a big metal tube. So we try to talk people out of doing such a thing because it's not logical. You wouldn't try and cook over a campfire inside something that's going to hinder the cooking, essentially, of what you're trying to accomplish. Same thing if you're trying to cremate a person inside of this metal box, you're hindering what it is you're actually trying to do. So, why put a roadblock in front of what you're doing by putting somebody in a metal casket? If that makes any sense, and I'm not trying to correlate cremating a dead person with cooking something over a campfire, but the imagery just popped up and I thought it would be good. I don't know. So thank you, Shawn G, for these questions. Once again, thanks for thinking outside the box and for challenging my thinking and allowing me to kind of ponder over scenarios that maybe I haven't encountered or not encountered a lot, and how to explain them to you guys, because sometimes that's a challenge, is finding the correct words to put into sentences and to explain what it is I'm seeing and doing, when typically I just kind of go through the motions and don't have to actually explain it. So thanks guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.